Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation Swamponomics videocast. I am Andrew Moran, Ellen's economics correspondent. Each week I dive into the more subtop economic news stories and fish out compelling narratives, or I retrieve fallacies that have been accepted as conventional wisdom by the swamp creatures for years. This week, Isabella Weber, an assistant professor of economics at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, published an op-ed in the London Guardian, advocating for price controls to combat near 40-year high inflation. Weber wrote in her opinion piece, quote, "We need a systematic consideration of strategic price controls as a tool in the broader policy responses to the enormous macroeconomic challenges instead of pretending there is no alternative beyond wait and see or austerity." But is this economic poppycock? In a simple word, yes. Economists on all spectrums disagree and debate on a whole host of issues, from monetary policy to wage inflation. But if there is one thing that most serious economists agree on, it is that price controls never, ever, ever work, no matter how it is instituted. The most famous example of price controls in the United States was the Nixon shock. President Richard Nixon introduced a 90-day freeze on prices and wages, the first of its kind since World War II. Nixon also slapped a 10% surcharge on all imports subject to a duty. Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter, his successors, left them intact, namely oil and gas. This caused shortages and long gasoline lines since there was little incentive for oil and gas companies to explore and produce crude oil. Carter then introduced 10 different types of crude prices. Around the world, Venezuela, Cuba, and Argentina imposed price controls, and it led to the same results: falling supply. Suffice it to say, if you are concerned about shortages and scarcity now amid a global supply chain crisis, think what life would be like with price controls that complement the worldwide supply chain disruption. This would further weigh on consumers trying to put food on the table and gasoline in the tank. It would lead to a wide variety of consequences. Does she have good intentions to fight inflation? Perhaps. But as legendary economist Thomas Sowell wrote, quote, "Nothing is easier than to have good intentions, but without an understanding of how an economy works, good intentions can lead to disastrous consequences for a whole nation." Once again, this is a tale of ivory tower economists giving the economics profession a bad name. It's comparable to certain economists, Paul Krugman, insisting that inflation does not impact the low and middle income classes. As the old saying goes, there is no accounting for the people's tastes, and that includes their economic ideologies. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column where I discuss President Joe Biden's jobs record, Larry Summers, and Canada's taxation. Thank you.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fight for freedom.
The tracking poll sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.